Hey guys, to go along with the classes we've been doing on music theory, I figured it's probably a good idea just to throw in some videos that just recap what we've been going over. If you've missed anything, or you're unsure about something, or if you just like the sound of my voice, these should hopefully help, and we can kind of use them as a referral tool. So there's two videos. We've got major keys and we've got minor keys. I'm going to split them into two videos. This is the major keys video, so strap in, here we go. We spoke about how kind of music works and the fact that you have this thing, the octave, which is basically just if you take a note and you go up enough, you end up with the same note but just a little bit higher. If you want to know the science behind that, the frequency, if you double the frequency of that note, you get that note. Okay, so we have this lovely little bracket that we can work in, and we just need to create a scale in between that. For various reasons, and I'm not going to go into them now, we divided that octave into 12 equal parts. And that gives us what we call our chromatic scale, which is basically just every available note. And in order to make music, we apply a scale, which is a set of instructions that takes these 12 notes and reduces them down to 7. 7 is the magic number. There are variants on that, but virtually, well, pretty much every scale in Western music is at least based upon a 7-note scale, something we call a septatonic scale, if you're interested. So let's talk about this major scale. The thing you will have been taught in school is because it's a major scale, it sounds happy. And there's nothing wrong with that description, but I think it is, we can think of a more mature way of thinking about it as being light, as opposed to its kind of darker little brother or little sister, which is the minor chord or minor scale. So we're going to look at minor scales later, but let's just take this major scale, okay? We need to know how to make one. That's a good place to start, okay? And I know this is something that I have begun to drum into you, and it's something that I will drum into you some more. It has a formula. A formula, what I mean by that is, if you start on a note and you follow this pattern, this list of instructions, it will create a major scale. That formula is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. I'll show you what I mean. Here is a C. If I follow that pattern, i.e. every time I move to the right, as you look at it on the screen, I move by either a tone, which is 2 keys, so there's a key here, and there's a key here, so that's 1, 2 keys, or a semitone, which is just 1 key. If I follow the pattern that I've just said, it will make a major scale. Let's have a look. So here's a C. Remember, it's tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Start on a C, I move up a tone, gives me a D. It's tone, tone, so I move up another tone, gives me an E, so I've got... Then it's semitone, there it is. Then it's tone, which is a G, tone, which is an A, tone, which is a B, and the final semitone takes up there, gives us this. And that's no real surprise. In fact, even if you look at the piano keyboard, you've got these 2 black notes here and these 3 black notes here. And you've got these ones with no black note in between. There are semitones, yeah? Tone here, semitone there, tone, 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 semitone, yeah? So the keyboard literally tells you this formula, okay? And that works regardless of where you start, okay? So just have a listen to the scale, get it in your head. In order for it to be a universal scale, that scale needs to sound the same regardless of what key you start with, okay? So here's a G. Now I want to create that same scale, but obviously if I just play the white notes, which is what I was doing for the C major scale, I'm going to get this. Now it sounds similar, but there are some differences there. Listen, this is the major scale. And here's the scale that I've just done. That last note isn't quite right, so I can't just stick to the white notes. I've got to follow that pattern. So let's see what happens. I'm going to use my tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. So G, tone takes us to A, tone takes us to B, semitone takes us to C, tone takes us to D, tone takes us to E. I must go up a tone now, so rather than this one, I've got this little F sharp here. And then my semitone takes us back to G, gives us this. Ah, that's our major scale. Wunderbar. That's exactly what we're looking for. So that's great. We can make a scale, and scales occur, but we also need to be able to make chords. Scales can only kind of give us access to melody as an idea, and we need harmony, man. We need some chords in there. So hopefully you already know this, but a chord is basically just a collection of notes that are played at the same time, okay? Again, like scales, you have various different types. The most popular two, by a mile, are major chords and minor chords. Now, you're going to need both. It's a real common misconception that in major keys there are only major chords, and in minor keys there are only minor chords. And unfortunately, that just isn't correct. There's a mixture of the two in both. So we need to find out which ones are which and which ones we play when. So there's a couple of easy ways of doing this. We need to work within our scale. So I'm still working within this octave, and I'm going to be in the key of C, so I'm only using these white notes, okay? So any chord that I play also can only use these white notes, okay? The black notes are off limits for the time being. So I've got to build some chords. So do I just randomly hit 3 notes together? I mean, that technically is a chord. It's just not a particularly nice one, and it sounds all a little bit kind of cluttered and nasty. Okay, so we need to kind of spread them out a little bit. The general rule of thumb is you start on a note, you miss one, you play one, you miss one, you play one. And that, because those notes are slightly more spaced out, it sounds a little bit more palatable, and that is a major chord. Okay? There's another way of doing it. If you want to make a major chord, so if you know what your first note is, so I know it's a C, and I know I want it to be a major chord. If you count up 4 semitones, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another 3, 1, 2, 3, it gives us that major scale, that major chord, okay? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to start on each note, and we're going to try and build a major chord on it and see what happens, okay? So chord number 1 in the key of C major, it's no surprise, or it shouldn't be, is in fact C major. The next note we'll go into is the D. I'm going to try and build a major chord off that D note and see whether it works within our scale, okay? So here's a D. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. I mean, it sounds nice. It's a major chord, sounds super beautiful, but this F sharp is not within our scale. If we're going to remain in the key of C, we can't use this F sharp, okay? So we have to use the available F, which in this case is there. Okay, if you take a major chord and you move this middle note down a semitone, it becomes a minor chord. So this second chord is actually going to be a minor chord. We've got a major chord on our first one and a minor chord on our second one. Let's just keep going. I'll speed up the process now because I think you'll see how this is going. Let's take an E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. We've got an E, a G sharp, and a B. We can't use the G sharp, so we use the available G, and that gives us an E minor. Next one, F is there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. That works totally fine. That's a major chord. That's all good. G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. G major chord, absolutely fine. Let's do the A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that is an A major chord. It has a C sharp. Can't use the C sharp. Use the available C. Wallop, we've got a minor chord. So the pattern at the moment is major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. Okay. Brings us to this final one. This is a B. I'm going to do the same thing. Let's see what happens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. That's a B major chord. Nothing wrong with the B major chord unless you're in the key of C, because we can't use this D sharp and we can't use this F sharp. So we have to flatten both of them, and that gives us this chord. That's a diminished, nasty sounding chord, okay? It's not a terrible chord and it shouldn't be avoided at all costs, but it needs to be used correctly, okay? So that final chord is called a diminished chord, okay? It has a flat third and a flat fifth. So our whole pattern is major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, okay? Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. And that's it. That's how you make up keys. If you take any note, let's take an F, follow our tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 some semitone, which goes. And then we add our major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. It will give us a major scale. Hope that helps. Any questions, just give me a shout. Thanks very much.